Please rise and body your spirit for the gathering song, 10:18, Come and Go With Me. We're going to sing the first and last verses of every hymn and song today, first and last.
Good morning. Welcome to the Mount Diablo Unitarian Universalist Church. I'm the Reverend Leslie Takahashi, and my pronouns are she and her. For those of you who are visiting with us this morning, welcome. We're glad you've chosen to spend part of your week with us here in the sanctuary or out on the patio or on our live stream. By the way, there's no one on the patio yet, but I've noticed sometimes the patio people arrive a little later. So our heat lamps are back, just letting you know. And we're also really glad to welcome back those who we haven't seen in a while. We've got a couple of faces that we are really glad to see back here. And for those of you online, welcome, and please join our virtual coffee hour, which will be held for just a few minutes after the service, so you can say hello. If you are visiting, we hope you'll sign a visitor's card either virtually or at the rainbow table after the service. And for those of you who are ready to join, we'll have another opportunity for that the first Sunday of December. Some of you know that we have a wonderful pastoral visitor program here, and we are reinstating, starting today, our pastoral listeners who will be here to just give you a listening ear if in this time you could use someone just to listen to after the service. So you will see our listener when we do our dropping of the stones during the offertory standing here up here with us, and so you'll be able to identify our listener. They also have a badge that they're wearing. So please do welcome back our pastoral listener program. So we're glad about that. Today we have our refreshments on the patio, which is to the left as you exit the sanctuary. Starting in December, and who knows, depending on the weather next week, we're going to start having our coffee hour back in the Borton Hall. So we will watch for announcements about that. I see a few clappings. We're also going to try to reinstitute it to happen before the service for about, there'll be coffee before the service for about 40 minutes, so you can come and have a cup of coffee before in case you have somewhere you have to go afterward. Today, you have the opportunity to see an amazing play. How many people, was anyone at the play last night? It was just wonderful with our own Gene Wilcox and also Bay Area acting star Julian Lopez Morales are doing a two-person play, and then Julian does an additional piece. It's a really, really wonderful performance. It's going to break the bank. It's $5 to attend there, and it's today at 3. So we hope you will consider coming for that. It's a wonderful opportunity. And finally, I'll mention that our this Friday is our harvest meal, and we would really love to have more people coming to share our meal. This year we're going to be inviting people if they would like to bring appetizers and desserts and sides, and we could also use some more volunteers for delivering meals to people who can't attend, and to just helping us make it a festive occasion. So Travis has a sign-up table outside after the service. Please stop and sign up, and welcome to this beloved community.
Good morning. I am Mark Chase, a member of your Board of Trustees, and my pronouns are he and him. Welcome to our service. Mount Diablo Unitarian Universalist Church is a welcoming faith community. We begin our services by reading our mission together. We bring to life our Unitarian Universalist values as we seek truth and work for justice, nurture compassion and courage, reach out to each other, into our larger community of faith, bridge the divisions that wound the human family, transform ourselves and our world. This is a time when many communicable things are around. Our expectation is that those inside are symptom-free. Please plan to attend today's congregational forum, where we will have several important updates and also begin a discussion of some bylaw changes the board is putting forward in January. The forum will begin today at 12:30 p.m. Thanks to all those who participated in our Bid for Love 2023. Our totals will be revealed at our congressional forum. It was very successful. Welcome. It's good to be together.
Good morning on this bright and beautiful sunny day. My name is Suzanne Llewellyn, and I'm here to tell you about our Share the Plate for this month. I'd like to tell you about one of our community partners, the Interfaith Movement for Human Integrity, a justice organization that helps communities fight for the rights of immigrants. They have enabled us as a congregation to raise our voices to pass California laws, such as providing health care to asylum seekers. They helped us cancel the Contra Costa County's contract with Immigration and Customs Enforcement so that we no longer imprison immigrants at the Richmond jail. Currently, they are leading a campaign to close private prisons in California, which exploit immigrants for profit. But today I want to tell you and highlight their accompaniment program, which MDUUC members have participated in the past. They organize faith communities to form teams to welcome asylum seekers and enable them to successfully integrate into our society. We have partnered with the Interfaith Movement to form a team to help a family consisting of a mother and 2 young children, ages 6 and 9, who have fled Kenya, gone to Brazil, and are now here. You can meet Janet and her kids, Princess and Prince, after the service. To learn more about accompaniment, ask one of our team members, Reverend Rodney, Peggy Kroll, Elsie Mills, Connie Chiba, Linda Russell, and Laura Torkelson. Your tithe today will pay for food, transportation, school supplies, legal, and other living expenses until Janet applies for asylum and gets a work permit. It could take a year to get a work permit, forcing her to work under the table until then. So today you can enable our team to help this family by specifying on your collection envelope, November, share the plate. Or you can mail a check made out to MDUUC when you get home. Be sure to write on the check, it's for the November Share the Plate. If you are online, go to mduuc.org, select the Give Now button on the top left of the website, and then click credit card or text. If you click credit card, you scroll down and it says there's a choice for Share the Plate. Write November Share the Plate in the comments to make sure it goes to this team to help our family. Our team can help you navigate this process online if you are confused or would like a little written help for when you go home. So I have some slips of paper for you. Thank you very much. I am deeply grateful for your commitment to justice for all. Thank you.
And we are deeply grateful to Suzanne for all her work over the years. This is the time when we exchange greetings, and I want to say it's such a beautiful day that I think we should say, and this is a week that the best of this week is celebrating community. Let's just say, I am glad you are here.
My name is still figuring it out. My name is Travis McPhee. My pronouns are he and him. And I'd like to start by welcoming those young and young at heart to the front. Thanks for joining us. And we're going to have a short, mindful moment together. Let yourself rest in a seated position. Feel free to be comfortable. You can let your arms and hands rest loosely by your sides, or on your legs, or in your lap. And feel free to close your eyes. Now take some time to imagine. Imagine you are in your own peaceful place, a peaceful place where you feel happy and safe. I invite you to take some time to explore your peaceful place. Let the details come up Notice what your surrounding looks like and smells like. What does it feel like? What are the sounds here in your peaceful place? You could listen for animals or water flowing. You could smell the air and smell the soil. Maybe you smell trees and flowers living near you, sending you their love. Now take some time to imagine doing something fun here. You could fly around in the sky along with the birds. Or you could jump from tree branch to tree branch along with the squirrels. You could swim in the waters along with the fish. Before you leave this special place, discover a hidden gift. Maybe you uncover it in the soils. It is just for you. As you return to the present moment in the gathering of people here in the sanctuary, feel free to say a goodbye to this peaceful place, to the animals and plants and fungi who you shared a fun and peaceful time with. I invite you to bring your attention back to the sounds around you here. Feel free to open your eyes. And remember, if you want to return to your peaceful place, it's always there for you. A place you can visit in your imagination and in your heart.
Good morning. My name is Donald Sturkey, and my pronouns are he, him, and his. And this morning's want to read to you as part of the chalice lighting a statement. This is regarding equity. Just sort of as a preface, last Wednesday during Vespers and during the ministers' class, we discussed equity and how it differs from equality. And Reverend Rodney provided us with several scriptures and quotations and statements from different groups and religious orders. And of those, I found this one to be most relevant for our service today. And I should probably put my glasses on so I can read it. What a difference. Okay, this happens to be a statement on justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion by the American Humanist Association. Humanist values require the affirmation of the inherent dignity of every human being, as well as the related need to create a society where all can flourish and become one's best self. We must dismantle systems of white supremacy, and as humanists, make it known that one of our most significant organizational goals is to fight for the rights of all marginalized communities.
Once upon a time, there was a golden retriever named Carl, and he was a very good boy.
I am. Ever since I was a pup, my mom taught me the golden rule. Do to others as you would have them do to you. Whenever I didn't know how to treat my siblings in my litter, I would just think about how I wanted to be treated and do that.
He was friends with a Persian cat named Cupcake.
Meow.
And she tolerated him as cats do.
Carl, what are you doing today while the food givers are at work?
Today is Random Act of Kindness Day, and I'm going to do random kind things for all of our roommates.
That sounds interesting. Who are you going to start with?
I'm going to give Jeannie one of my bones.
You're going to give Jeannie, the rabbit, one of your bones?
Oh yeah, bones are my favorite treat. She'll love it.
And off he went before Cupcake could say another word.
Dogs.
Sometime later, Carl came back dejected.
What's wrong, Carl?
Jeannie didn't like the bone at all. She even thumped her feet. She was so mad.
I wonder why.
It's a great mystery. I guess she's just in a bad mood. I always love bones.
Maybe treats aren't the best vehicle for cross-species bonding.
Maybe you're right. I'll try a toy next. I'm going to give Scales my very best tennis ball. It's going to be hard to part with since I love it so much, but it would be worth it to make Scales happy.
Scales, the snake, right?
Oh, yeah. I can't wait to run and play with Scales. He'll just love chasing after the ball.
Carl, how is Scales going to chase the ball?
Well, with his legs.
His legs? His legs? Carl? Scales' legs?
Yeah, that's how chasing the ball works, Cupcake?
Carl, does Scales, the snake, have legs?
Oh. Well, I guess he doesn't.
Do you think that if you want to play with Scales, that maybe you should ask Scales how Scales wants to play?
Carl blinked at Cupcake and then moved off at a slower pace, deep in thought. Carl was gone for a long time, which gave Cupcake a chance to catch up on her Sudoku, but eventually Carl came back.
Oh, hey, Carl, how did things go with Scales?
Oh, Cupcake, it went great. I asked Scales if he wanted to play, and he said yes. So I asked him how. And he said there was a sunny spot in the yard that he never gets to visit because it's too far away for him. So he got on my back, and I took him to the yard, and we basked in the sun.
You basked?
Oh, yeah, it was the best. Nice and warm. And I even rolled on my back and felt the sun on my belly. And Scales loved it.
Well, gosh, Carl, I think I might be a little jealous. That sounds wonderful.
Yeah, that went so well, it gave me another idea. So when I brought Scales back to his terrarium, I stopped by Jeannie's rabbit hutch and apologized for the bones and asked her what she wanted.
Really? And what did she want?
Clover. Honestly, I tried some, and I'm not a fan. but Jeannie liked it, and that's the important thing.
Sounds like you learned something today.
Yeah. When I was a puppy, the golden rule, do unto others as you want them to do to you, made a lot of sense. And it worked really well when everyone I was with was also a puppy. But now I have a lot of different friends who might need different things than what I want.
Carl, you discovered the platinum rule. Do to others as they would have you do to them.
Which means I have to ask them what they would like.
That's right. Now let's go get some catnip.
Cupcake?
Just kidding, Carl. I'm going to have some catnip, and you can have whatever it is that dogs like.
The end.
And now I'd like to invite you all to sing our children and youth to their activities.
Greetings and gratitude this Sunday before Thanksgiving. My name is Peter Morse, and my pronouns are he and him. Some of you may have heard this story before, so I apologize if you've already listened to my voice yam on about this experience Chris and I had in Sacramento. On August 2nd, 1990, at the start of the first Iraq War, my husband, Chris, and I were living in Sacramento and sought a place to gather and protest. I reached out to peace advocates I knew in the area and was directed to the UU Society of Sacramento. They were holding a vigil on that hot August night. Their male minister was there, and he welcomed the standing room only crowd, but apologized in advance for leaving early because it was his partner's birthday, and he wanted to be with him. What? There's a denomination that allows gay men to be ministers? I turned to Chris and said, perhaps we should look into joining that denomination. Once we joined, we found ourselves amongst a religious community that champions human rights, including the rights of LGBTQ+ people. What follows is a loose timeline highlighting UU advocacy towards equity and equality for gay men and lesbians, and more broadly with time, the entire queer community. In 1950, that's actually 7 years before even I was born, Minister Wallace de Ortega Maxey, a somewhat complicated leader of the First Universalist Church of Los Angeles, was a founding member of a homophile group. Curious name, but that was the term they used back then. And that society or organization was the Mattachine Society, which advocated equality for homosexuals. Along with Minister Maxey, there were two other founders of the Mattachine Society, and that was Bob Hall and Chuck Rowland, and both of them were also Universalists. Speeding up into the 60s, in September 1969, the Reverend James L. Stoll, a graduate of Starr King, publicly came out as gay, making him the first ordained minister of a major religious denomination in the U.S. to do so. In 1970, Reverend Stoll worked with others at that year's General Assembly in Seattle to produce an approved proclamation condemning discrimination against homosexuals and bisexuals. Also, our denomination ordained its first openly gay minister in 1979 and its first openly transgender minister in 1988. The UU Association voted in 1984 at that year's General Assembly to bless the unions of homosexuals, becoming the first major denomination to do so. Over the years, our General Assembly has passed more than 24 resolutions on LGBTQ issues, including same-sex marriage, military service, employment non-discrimination, and transgender rights. Currently, discrimination against the transgender community is particularly horrific, as politicians pass legislation to extinguish trans youth. Fortunately, our denomination's website, sideoflove.org, there are advocacy tools with potential to thwart anti-transgender liberation. All of us in this sanctuary, online, and in our broader community have so beautifully advocated for LGBTQ+ rights to protect the worth and dignity of all people. And now, with a nod towards Reverend Rodney's Texas roots, come, let us all, and y'all means y'all, worship together.
Please rise and body your spirit for the congregational song, 10:15, I Know I Can. We'll do the first and last verse only through days, and the last one is So Won't You.
Now is the time in our service where we come together to bear witness to those joys and sorrows that are too great for any one of us to hold alone. If you've written in our book of joys and sorrows today, I'm asking you to please come forward to light a candle as I read your entry. Kevin Shea is lighting a candle of concern. My heart is heavy as I just learned this week that my Uncle Sonny has stage 4 cancer. Though he is weak, he plans to fly out with his son and be with the family for Thanksgiving. Kevin is also lighting a second candle, and this one is a candle of hope and light for a friend who is struggling to stay pregnant. She has 3 little guardian angels watching over her. Nancy White is lighting a candle of joy. I'm celebrating 81 years of life. And I'm struggling to read the rest, but I'm trying. Shining like the stars. Oh, shine like the stars. It's right on her shirt. Peggy Kroll is lighting a candle of joy. We have joy in welcoming our guests, Janet, Prince, and Princess, part of our immigration family. Bob Maxwell is lighting a candle of joy. Last Sunday, we celebrated Marcia's 69th trip around the sun. Kathy Teplitz is lighting a candle. Oh, whoops, I'm sorry. My peripheral vision's off. Kathy Teplitz is lighting a candle of congratulations to Brett and friends for an extraordinary concert on Friday. We're so blessed to have him as part of our congregation. Oh, again, sorry. Guess it's my forward-looking eyes as well. Tom is lighting a candle. There was a wonderful collection drive for Thea Gray. Theo Gray. Thank you, he says. And that's Sonia's cousin. And I don't have an entry there. All right. We also are lighting a candle of concern for Maria Hunt and the Hunt family, celebrating Ethan Hunt is back home healthy with his family after 4 nights in the hospital this week. So that is great news. I am also asking Reverend Leslie to light 2 final candles, the first representing all the joys and sorrows left unspoken and still held in our collective consciousness, and the second, a reminder that we are the justice and caretakers of this one imperfect but precious world.
Please stay seated for the meditation song, 10:12. When I am frightened, first and last verse only. When I am frightened, when I'm troubled.
Today we are taking a moment in our service time to observe the Trans Day of Remembrance, which is marked tomorrow. Today, in this observance of the trans lives that we have lost over this year to violence, and to remember our trans siblings who remain in danger due to the various anti-trans laws that are currently on the books in various U.S. states. We will be building today in this altar a trans pride mosaic flag using some glass tiles.
Each tile represents our unity and remembrance for those who have lost their lives due to hate crimes and violence, or those who are still at risk.
As we begin, we invite you to find a quiet space inside And while Brett plays some music for us, we're going to invite you to look at the screen where there are quotes from the trans community playing, interspersed with the language of the various anti-trans laws and statistics that are still currently affecting this community.
As these images play, take a moment to reflect on the impact of violence, discrimination, and systemic oppression faced by our siblings in the trans community.
Let these words and disheartening legal realities resonate with you. If you can, try to bring into mind a trans person in your orbit that you know, or maybe even from media, that you hold that image in your mind's eye and hold the space to represent the experiences of trans individuals who navigate a world often marked by injustice and prejudice, a world where equity seems a myth.
I invite you to hold on to this moment, and when today's offering is called, you are invited to come forward and to place the blue, pink, and white tiles on the corresponding color on the picture frame before returning to your seat.
May the memories of those lost be a blessing and a catalyst for change.
Wow. What a sacred moment. My name is Kevin Shea. My pronouns are he, him, and his. One of the unexpected joys being on the board is able to do this. I feel like it's a little conversation that I get to have every couple months with you all. Even if I don't remember my half, somebody out here or in the audience is going to remember and says, I remember when you went up into that. It happened the last time. I was like, oh yeah, I vaguely remember going up in the chancel and speaking. Today is a challenging day for me. I didn't know how challenging it was. But realizing that my uncle is sick, at the same time of year, when my mother-in-law, we found out that she was sick and dying, it's this week. It was Thanksgiving that we had in the hospital at Kaiser and Walnut Creek, where a friend of mine is currently at with pneumonia. So it's hard. And I'll say that this is not my church. I am of the church. I belong to the church. And that's why I give, to help take care of it. The church helped take care of me, my wife, and our family when my mother-in-law was dying. They're helping right now, just you all listening and being here. So we get to participate in this sacred moment of giving to share the plate, which is a sacred act, the stones and candles during the offertory. And I'm going to try something different. Normally I would go and give cash, but I'm going to try the online version. I don't know if I've done that before. We'll see if we can get it done during the service before the offertory is done. So with that, the ushers will now come forward to receive the offering. And if you're out on the patio or at home, you can try donating online as I'm about to do. Well, first of all, I'm happy to report that I was successful. And now, it's time for us to dedicate the offering. The words should be up on the screen. To the work of this community in transforming ourselves and our world, we dedicate ourselves and our offerings.
It is really good to be together. Oh, I love that. Sorry. That's usually me out there doing the amens. All right. Listen, I am only a Unitarian Universalist and now a UU minister because of this congregation. In 2007, my husband and I had moved from San Francisco to West Contra Costa town of Hercules, where his whole family resides. Having left our very gay metropolitan community church in the Castro, we were in search for another gay-friendly place to worship, and Google told us to come here. We were amazed by this welcoming community at that time, a welcoming that I believe still exists today. And I will never forget Elizabeth Andreessen approaching us on the patio at coffee hour and pointing out all of the amazing queer people in the community. It was literally the kindest outing I had ever been a part of. And what impressed us even more were the countless hours of phone banking and support to try and block the Proposition 8 ballot measure that strived to erase queer marriage from our state and ultimately further. The defeat of this ballot measure is an excellent example of equity in action. Some may have argued, and some still do, here and other places in our country, that equality had already been achieved through the ability of gay and lesbian couples to register as domestic partners for years prior to this pesky argument about marriage. But I would argue that equity is what the queer community were asking for, not simply equality. This is our first lesson. Equity requires us to actively listen to the marginalized voices to hear what is desired from them. Our UU faith calls us to embrace justice, compassion, and acceptance of one another. And I kind of submit to you today that seeking equity in our justice measures is one way that we can embody these attributes of our faith. Now, I know that some may feel that what I'm describing is actually what you believe to be equality, and the use of a newfangled word is just simply not necessary. So I chose to go to things that I understand help me make better sense of things. So bear with me while I return to my old field of public health, where equity is way more than just a word. It is an ethical framework for delivery of healthcare to populations of people. This framework requires us as healthcare providers and workers to evaluate healthcare disparities through the lens of socio-demographic characteristics of the individuals and the communities that we are serving. Public health has, over the past many years, pushed beyond seeking just equity and just equality, and now goes one step further in attempting to embrace equity in their work. For example, equality of healthcare may mean that ensuring all people have access to mammogram technologies, time to attend the checkup, healthcare to cover the costs, and skilled physicians and radiologists to interpret those findings. However, just providing these aspects to the general public doesn't address the nuanced differences of preventative care among the various U.S. racial categories. We know from public health data, for example, that systemic bias by physicians and implicit understandings of culture results in low referrals for Black women to be screened for breast cancer. This fact means that it isn't good enough to just provide the means of mammogram technology and access. Equality is not enough. Equity calls for more. Perhaps this looks like implicit bias training for physicians serving that population, or other interventions that attempt to right this inherent wrong in our healthcare system. Now, this is a pretty straightforward and practical example of equity and a potential solution to it. But equity isn't always that easy. Sometimes in our pursuit, we encounter challenges of understanding and addressing competing inequities. Take, for example, the fight for white women's voting rights and the abolition of slavery. These movements highlighted the tension between different marginalized groups, revealing the complexities of navigating competing inequity. Equity is not always easy nor clear. These types of situations challenge us to examine power dynamics within the struggle and the various intersections with other forms of oppression. We are called to recognize that true equity requires dismantling the systems that perpetuate injustice rather than just pursuing superficial remedies. To navigate these difficult discussions and address competing inequities, I think empathy becomes an essential tool. Empathy invites us to step outside of our own experiences and genuinely listen and understand the perspectives of others. In her book, I'm Still Here, Black Dignity in a World Made for Whiteness, Austin Channing Brown emphasizes that our use of empathy is very critical, but it must not be used as solely to make the privileged feel better. True empathy challenges us to confront our own biases and privilege, fostering meaningful dialogue, building bridges, the gaps between these different inequities. It calls us to put ourselves in the other person's shoe. Much like today in our time for all ages, empathy opens us up to hearing about how a person or group want to be treated. And that often helps us control our instant knee-jerk reaction to just assume we know what the person needs. This is, as we learned today, referred to as the platinum rule. Do unto others as they would want done to them. I think that often our pursuits of equity and also our desire for efficiency can cause us to boil down issues and solutions to false dichotomies of choice, an either-or solution to various problems in our world. As we prepare to commemorate the Trans Day of Remembrance, I can't help but observe the power of the trans right movement. While some may see the point to be to live authentically as ourselves outside of a binary gender, I see the lessons from these siblings as more than that, as teaching us how to break out of this either-or thinking. The transgender and gender-diverse struggle calls upon us to break down all the binaries, not solely those of gender. If we think about it, equitable solutions are often not binary. They may encompass nuanced and multifaceted approaches to the solution itself. Using empathy helps guide our hearts to the understanding that binary solutions are not necessarily the answer, and multiple truths are often to be held at the exact same time. This realization for me helps my heart to further embrace a truth about seeking justice through equity, that my liberation is bound to yours. And this is a truth echoed in many works, but primarily the work of theoretical physicist and Black womanist activist Shonda Prescott-Weinstein, who beautifully articulates in her books that our own liberation is intricately tied to the liberation of others, as freedom itself cannot be created nor destroyed, only transformed. This understanding compels us to acknowledge the complexity of human experiences and work toward justice and equity for everyone, which I believe is a foundational principle of the UU faith tradition. I see equity as a method of bringing about justice in this one broken but precious world. Perhaps our call to the world around us is to hold our humanity through empathy while breaking that binary of either-or thinking for solutions to complex problems. Perhaps we must become the white woman, the enslaved, the transgender diverse or gender diverse person, the cis person, the Palestinian person, the Israeli person, the Ukrainian people, the Russian people. Perhaps we become the Congolese child, the Sudanese refugee, the immigrant searching for a home. My thoughts of equity can really be summed up in one quote from queer icon and poet Walt Whitman, who insisted, "I do not ask the wounded person how they feel. I myself become the wounded person."
Please rise and water your spirit. For 348, guide my feet. First and last verse only. Guide my feet, search my heart.
As we extinguish the flame of our service together and our time, may its light ignite our heart to be the bringers of empathetic equity to our larger world. May we all strive to feel in order to heal.